Hello and welcome to CNBC.com. I'm Frank Holland, anchor of Worldwide Exchange. Today we're joined by Bob Dahl of Crossmark Investments to talk the current ETF market. Net inflows this year topping $923 billion, putting us on track for another $1 trillion year. Bob, thanks for joining us.
My privilege.
All right. On track for another $1 trillion year, $923 billion plus where we sit right now at the start of Q4. What does that tell you about investors' appetites for ETFs and how they're investing this year?
Well, they're big numbers, and ETFs are one of the beneficiaries, and you know the reasons why. Transparency, tax efficiency. It's a way to invest that surpasses a lot of other vehicles, and therefore, right now, they're very popular.
All right. This week, the ETFs that saw the top inflows were the VGT, the Vanguard Information Technology Index Fund, the GLD, a gold ETF, and also the XLF. What does that say to you about what investors are trying to find right now in a market that is trading pretty close to its all-time highs?
Yeah, they're investors interested in the kinds of things you just talked about. They want gold because gold's gone up. Technology's been hugely popular, and that's one way to get positioned in that realm. So no surprises to that short list.
All right. I want to get to your picks. Investors are always looking for new ideas, new ways to invest. Can you give us your top pick for investors looking to invest in this current market that, again, is trading pretty close to all-time highs? At the same time, we're facing a government shutdown that some people believe could create some volatility in the market if it lasts for a prolonged period.
Yeah, so I'm going to be very biased here. We at Crossmark launched a couple of ETFs 2 months ago, large cap growth and large cap value patterned after our SMAs. And they're bringing in some nice, fresh, new money. We're very excited for the reasons of transparency and the liquidity that we talked about a second ago. And investors are taking money that might have gone to SMAs and mutual funds and putting them ETFs, and we're hoping it's going to carry all three vehicles with the same discipline higher.
All right. I want to focus on one of your picks, the CLCG, the Crossmark Large Growth ETF. When you're investing in that, what are you actually investing in? It seems like this year investors are really looking for growth and momentum. So this seems like kind of an ETF that kind of fits some of the factors and style that investors are really seeking, at least in 2025.
Yeah, in that ETF, that's our growth ETF, obviously. We own those growth stocks that we think have the combination of reasonable valuations, particularly as it compares to price to free cash flow, and high returns on equity, profitability. And that takes us to a lot of the names that we talk about every day, some of the Mag 7 and some other financial stocks and names that have those characteristics that we think will reward investors in the short and the long term.
You know, I've also heard a lot of people talk about value investing could be coming back into style, specifically dividend-focused investing, with the idea that we're on a rate-cutting cycle. I want to talk to you also about your other pick, the CLCV. What kind of stocks are held in there, and what kind of investors should buy that ETF?
Yeah, so those that want exposure to value stocks, we're not trying to call the end of growth and the beginning of value. We think you need balance in your portfolios. In fact, we just put a white paper out on that very fact. In our value portfolio, our value ETF, we own a lot of financials, banks, financial service companies. These companies are not all that expensive. We think the banks are cheap relative to the market, benefiting from all kinds of deregulation that's happening. And so we're pretty excited about that product as well.
All right, so I know you say it's kind of a balance. So when we're looking at both of these ETFs, are you saying that investors should look to perhaps buy them together? Not necessarily a barbell strategy, but they're complementary investment vehicles?
They certainly are. Look, some people, most people, are overweight growth because that's what's worked. So maybe consider our value ETF to complement that. If you are more balanced, yeah, we have some investors that are putting 50 cents in each one. So there are lots of ways to toggle on these, and value is very cheap relative to growth. Of course, valuation is never a timing tool, but it does give you some sense of risk reward.
All right. Bob Dahl from Crossmark Investments. Great to have you on. Thank you very much for your time and your insight when it comes to the ETF market. I'm Frank Holland, anchor of Worldwide Exchange. Thank all of you for watching. Have a great day.